Hi BookTube, how's it going? Welcome back to Reading in the Dark. Byron here. This video is going to be my sort of a wrap-up for October and November, although not much happened. And really it's going to be my book haul for October and November and like the first couple of days of December. And the reason I'm going to include the very beginning of December is that I haven't been buying a ton of books and I don't do book hauls very often, so I just figure I'll just catch you up to everything I currently have that I bought. I may talk a little bit about my TBR for December, but most of what I'm reading in December, I've already kind of touched on in my end of the year book tag video that I posted. So there's not going to be a great deal to that portion of the video. Plus it's already December 4th where I'm filming, and it'll be probably the 5th when I post this. So these are in the order that I purchased them starting in October. The first book that I bought was Heartbreaker by Claudia Dey. And I've talked a great deal about this book. I really, really liked it. I read this book for Spookathon. It was kind of chosen in a way by me for that readathon because it wasn't really a spooky read, but it was certainly mysterious, and regardless, it was a really wonderful book. And actually, I would really kind of recommend this as a holiday read if you're looking for something mysterious, maybe a little bit odd, but has a wintry vibe to it because it is set during the winter in a very cold area, like the nearby river is frozen over and everybody's cold, and there's like lots of people talking about things like coats and snow and stuff like that. So it has that vibe. So it might actually be a great read for holiday months. If you're looking for something kind of wintry and very unique to read, this book is fantastic. The next book I purchased was one that's made all of the rounds on the BookTube, and this is Anger is a Gift by Oshiro. And this tells the story. I'm just going to read the blurb. It says, Matt Jeffries is many things: considerate student, devoted son, loyal friend, and affectionate boyfriend, enthusiastic nerd. And don't we all appreciate nerds that are enthusiastic? But sometimes Moss still wishes he could be someone else, someone without panic attacks, someone whose father was still alive, someone who hadn't become a rallying point for a community because of one horrible night. So I don't know a lot more about what this story is other than that kind of setup of who he is and the fact that he's been through this terrible thing. And I don't need to know that much more because it sounds like it's a wonderful book and everybody really loves it. And I just kind of wanted to be a part of the conversation. And in the past, when there's been enough critical mass on BookTube for everybody to really rally behind a book, I've not been disappointed. The next book I bought was another big BookTube thing, Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. I have a feeling I'm going to love this book. I love the cover. How could you not? Although there actually is this other cover, which is fine and is interesting. I'm kind of obsessed with all the different covers of books. But anyway, this is the cover that I first saw, and this is the cover of the ebook that I purchased. Jojo and his toddler sister Kayla live with their grandparents, Mom and Pop, or Mam and Pop, and the occasional presence of their drug-addicted mother, Leonie, on a farm on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Leonie is simultaneously tormented and comforted by visions of her dead brother, which only come to her when she's high. Mam is dying of cancer, and quiet, steady Pop tries to run the household and teach Jojo how to be a man. When the white father of Leonie's children is released from prison, she packs her kids and a friend into her car and sets across the state for Parchman Farm, the Mississippi State Penitentiary, on a journey rife with danger and promise. Majestic language, it says. Sing Unburied Sing is a majestic new work and an essential contribution to American literature. So this is literary fiction, and it just sounds like it's a really beautiful book. It may deal with some sort of gritty and unpleasant aspects of life and people making poor choices and not always being perfect, but that's fine. I sort of enjoy digging into the dark aspects of life sometimes in beautifully written books, and I am sure that this book is going to be at least a 4-star read for me, and I'm looking forward to that. The next book that I bought is yet another sort of darling of the literary world right now, and that is Washington Black by Edugyan. I was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize 2018. The book Washington Black is an 11-year-old field slave who knows no other life than the Barbados sugar plantation where he was born. When his master's eccentric brother chooses him to be his manservant, Wash, that's like short for Washington. Cute. Wash is terrified of the cruelties he is certain await him, but Christopher Wilde, or Titch, is a naturalist, explorer, scientist, inventor, and abolitionist. He initiates Wash into a world where a flying machine can carry a man across the sky, where two people, separated by an impossible divide, might begin to see each other as human, and where a boy born in chains can embrace a life of dignity and meaning. So this sounds really interesting. I love the cover. The idea of a flying machine in the way it's described makes it sound like this is sort of like a fictionalized, made up, you know, like a retrofuturist, almost like steampunk thing. I love the idea. I love sort of retrofuturism. I don't know if that's the term. I love the idea of this magical flying machine that's presented not as a magical device so much as a machine, but that does this sort of magical thing. And then there's the part of the blurb where it says, but, and then all of the bad, scary, conflicty things come in. But when a man is killed and a bounty is placed on Wash's head, Titch abandons everything to save him. I'm a little bit concerned about the idea of this being about the wonderful white savior type trope. But obviously Essie Edugyan knows what she's doing, and the book has been just loved by everybody. So I'm excited for it. And so is my dog. He just can't stop jumping on me and flipping out. Every time it's time to film, what do I get as a reward? I get this. I get this tennis ball, which I then throw. Hopefully this doesn't create a major problem. The next books that I hauled were actually gifts that I received for my birthday from a good friend of mine, and that is the whole Golden Compass trilogy by Philip Pullman, which includes the Ember Spyglass, the Golden Compass, and the Subtle Knife. I feel like the Golden Compass was not the original title for that book. But this is a fantasy series that a lot of people know that features two children, Lyra and Will. This is a fantasy series that I've heard a lot about. Obviously, there was a movie made of it, and it features children, and it's fantasy and exciting. I don't really know anything else about it beyond that, and I don't feel like I necessarily need to. So I'm excited to just sort of dive into those eventually. They're going to be maybe like a 2019 thing, because as I mentioned in my end of the year book tag video, 2019 is the year of me reading fantasy. So I'm gonna attend to my dog, and I will come back and finish this at a later moment in time, and don't be alarmed if I am strangely wearing like a different outfit or something. It's possible, but like, I don't know what would happen to this shirt. There's no reason I can't just put it back on. I will be right back with this haul. The next book that I hauled was a book that I am probably gonna try and read in December, and I'm not 100% on that, but this is The Ragged Edge of Night by Olivia Hawker. This is a World War II Nazi Germany story set in 1942. Franciscan friar Anton Starzmann is stripped of his place in the world when his school is seized by the Nazis. He relocates to a small German hamlet to wed Elizabeth Herter, a widow who seeks a marriage in name only, to a man who can help raise her 3 children. Anton seeks something too, atonement for failing to protect his young students from the wrath of the Nazis. But neither he nor Elizabeth expects their lives to be shaken once again by the inescapable rumble of war. So this is a wartime story. I don't know if there's a romance involved. It seems possible. I know that the author mentions in either a foreword or an epilogue or an afterword something about them being inspired to write it because of the current political climate in the United States, and I dig that. The cover is beautiful, and this is one of many really great-looking books set during World War II and during the Holocaust that I have on my TBR. The next book that I hauled, and this is all still in October, is the complete collection of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark paperbacks, which came in a box. I have talked all about these books. I read them for Spookathon. I read all 3 of them. I remembered my childhood when I read them, and they're beautiful. These are pretty good recreations of the original books. They're not the exact same covers, which is fine. The covers are really, really cool. My nostalgic self kind of wishes that they were the original covers, but you know, they're always changing covers, so it's fine. I will say that this particular edition, it's wonderful because it restores the creepy illustrations by Stephen Gammell in lieu of the like sanitized ones that came about in the re-release from a few years back. But it's not the highest quality paper, and the books themselves don't feel like they're quite as high quality just from a physical perspective as the ones that I remember reading when they were new. But that's a minor gripe. I enjoyed the stories very, very much. I still prefer the second of the 3 books, but I had a great time rereading them. The next book that I hauled was The Good Widow by Liz Fenton. This is a thriller. It says elementary school teacher Jacqueline Jax Morales' marriage was far from perfect, but even in its ups and downs, it was predictable, familiar, or at least she thought it was until 2 police officers showed up at her door with devastating news. Her husband of 8 years, the one who should have been on a business trip in Kansas, had suffered a fatal car accident in Hawaii and he wasn't alone. So basically, she thinks he's probably having an affair and that's what he was doing when he died. And she sets off to investigate and find out what happened. Kind of an annoying trope, what happened to my husband, but I think it was on sale, frankly. And you know, we all need some good, easy, short thrillers in our lives, and this looks kind of like a juicy, fun read. The next book that I hauled was Greetings from Moon Hill by Anthony J. Rapino. This was also something that I put in my Halloween TBR and I never got to. This was discussed quite a bit by Cameron Chaney on his BookTube channel that I'll link below. This is basically a short story collection of spooky, scary, Halloween-y reads set in a fictional town in, I think, Pennsylvania? Yeah, northeastern Pennsylvania, where it's always kind of autumny and fall-y, and it says it's a surreal place of arcane magic and natural wonder where a hint of autumn lingers in the air, the leaves are always turning, and the shadows grow long no matter the time of day. So it's a collection of scary, spooky stories, and I'm a sucker for anthologies, so I wish I had gotten to this, and I didn't, and I don't think I'm going to read it in December, because it's just, although the holidays do kind of go hand in hand with spookiness in some ways, based probably in the connection that I have in my head of Christmas to like A Christmas Carol and like gothic-y things. But even though that's the case, this is like very specifically themed as kind of a Halloween book, and I don't know, I just can't read it in December. So I'm going to probably save it until next Halloween or September or October. We'll see. I may not be able to hold out that long, but I think I'm probably going to save it. The next book that I hauled was the impeccable The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Oh, Scotch tape is not forever, guys. I adored this book. Nothing in this book can quite top the first few chapters. The section where Eleanor is driving out to the house and feeling freedom for the first time in her young life was just the most entrancing, enchanting, adorable, sweet, heartwarming, naive, lovely, lovely section, I think, of anything that I've read in 2018. And I liked the whole book. I love the concept behind the house being built in a weird way. I like the history of it. It's very different from the TV series, by the way, which is not a bad thing. The TV series is actually really good, but they're very different. But that section in the beginning is the part that I swooned over that section of the book. It was so beautifully written and that character was so vivid. The next book that I hauled is a very, very popular fantasy book by Laini Taylor called Strange the Dreamer. And I bought this on a whim because I think it was on sale for something crazy, especially for such a popular book. It was less than $5. I don't remember how much. It was like $3 or $4. And I thought, well, I've never read fantasy, not really. And this was in the early days of me thinking, maybe I should read some fantasy. And I had seen this book in so many places on so many channels. And I thought, well, it's on sale. I can't go wrong. So I bought it. And I'm going to read the blurb to you because it doesn't make sense to me. Fantasy books, they create their whole own worlds. And it's very hard for me to I don't know, it's weird. The dream chooses the dreamer, not the other way around. And Laszlo Strange, war orphan and junior librarian, has always feared that his dream chose poorly. Since he was 5 years old, he's been obsessed with the mythic lost city of Weep. But it would take someone bolder than he to cross half the world in search of it. Then a stunning opportunity presents itself in the person of a hero called the Godslayer and a band of legendary warriors, and he has to seize his chance to lose his dream forever. Seize his chance to lose his dream forever. What happened in Weep 200 years ago to cut it off from the rest of the world? The dream part doesn't quite translate in this blurb. I don't totally understand that part. However, the rest of this is actually a lot more straightforward than I remembered. I remember the first time I read this saying, huh? But actually, it's just a fantasy book. Okay, so I'm excited to read the book. Also, beautiful cover. And I think that it has a sequel that just came out. Moving on to my most recent hauls. I bought a sci-fi book called Renegade Star by J.N. Chaney. And this is about a world in which the idea of the planet Earth is a myth. Something to tell your children when you put them to sleep. The lost homeworld of humanity. Everyone knows it isn't real, though. It can't be. But when Captain Jace Hughes encounters a nun with a mysterious piece of cargo and a bold secret, he soon discovers that everything he thought he knew about Earth is wrong. So very, very wrong. So that sounds like fun. It sounds like a sci-fi adventure, and these two are, probably going to hook up. Oh wait, she's a nun. But I don't know, it's sci-fi. Anything is possible. Renegade Star. And I've heard that it's great. I think it's a whole series, and so I hope I love it so that I can read all of them. Then I purchased. Okay, so I was talking about this, and I said this in my vlog. I did a very, very bad thing. I didn't know that Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin was coming out. I didn't know it existed in his mind. I didn't know it was a thing. All of a sudden, the book world was like, it came out. And I thought, oh, I really loved the anthology of 3 novellas that are set 100 years before Game of Thrones called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which I read for BookTubeathon. And this is another prequel, which is before that. This is 300 years before Game of Thrones, and it tells the whole history of the Targaryen family and their reign during the time of dragons and all of that. And it's written like a history. I don't see like a lot of dialogue tags or anything in it. But of course, it's just a beautiful book. Oh my God, it's gorgeous to physically hold. So I bought a physical copy of it, and I'm excited to read that. I will definitely read that in 2019 as I embark on my fantasy adventure. The next book that I hauled was a book that I learned from Tome Riddle, or Tome Riddle, Tome Riddle, Tome Riddle, Tome Riddle, Riddle. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, and I will just splice that together later when I figure it out. On her BookTube channel, she was talking about this book, and I was captivated. I thought, I have to read that book. It's a young adult contemporary. The 5 Stages of Andrew Brawley by Sean David Hutchinson is about a young man who loses his family in a car accident, and he recuperates in a hospital, and then he doesn't have anything. He's lost everything, and he's basically starts living in the hospital. Andrew Brawley was supposed to die that night, just like the rest of his family. So that's a great beginning to a blurb. And while he's in the hospital, another young man has been seriously burned and is brought into the hospital with these horrible burns. And I guess they become friends, or maybe more. I'm not totally sure. Rusty's agony is like a beacon for Drew, pulling them together through all their pain and grief. In Rusty, Drew sees hope, happiness, and a future for both of them, a future outside of the hospital and away from their painful pasts. I don't know if this is a gay romance or a coming out or a coming of age, or if there's any kind of gay aspect, if it's just friends, or what it is, and I don't care. I love the whole concept behind this book, and I really want to read more young adult fiction. So I purchased this in the bookstore in physical form as well, because it is interspersed with scenes that are written out like a graphic novel. And I think that's because the character is writing a graphic novel to sort of get his feelings out, and so you see the graphic novel that he's writing. But in any case, I'm super excited to read this book. And then the final book that I bought, again in physical form, because I feel like you're supposed to have a copy on your shelf in your home so that when the demons come in the middle of the night, they'll spare you, is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I've never read this book, and I need to read the book, and I thought I should own it. And I got a beautiful hardcover edition of it. Now, when I was in the store, they had a few copies that said 50th anniversary edition on it, and then and don't forget to buy Go Set a Watchman. Now, I'm kind of creeped out and frustrated by the publishing of that novel, and I think the possibly shady character who was Harper Lee's lifelong lawyer who was behind the publication of it. And I just don't know that I necessarily believe that she was of sound mind and body to make the decision after all of these years of saying she didn't want to release Go Set a Watchman to publish Go Set a Watchman. So I kind of don't like the idea of it saying that on the front of To Kill a Mockingbird, don't forget Go Set a Watchman. And I'm like, maybe I will. So I decided that I just wanted to find the one copy that didn't say that. So I found one copy in this bookstore that was like the same exact cover, artwork, and everything, but it doesn't say 50th anniversary edition, and it doesn't have the thing about Go Set a Watchman on it. It just says Pulitzer Prize winner, and it's got blurbs, and that's it. And it's beautiful, and it's actually got a higher quality paper than the other version did. So I'm happy that that's the one I got, and I'm gonna read this book. Like, it's gonna happen. So I'm excited about that. And those physical books that I bought on like December 1st. But to be fair, I thought about buying them the day before, and if they had been ebooks, I would have. It's just that they're physical, so I had to wait till I could get to the store. So I'm counting them in this book haul anyway. And that's it. That's my book haul for October and November. In December, I'm probably going to read, I'm going to finish the 3 books that I'm reading, which are Dracula, The Wild Inside by Christine Carbo. I've learned it's pronounced, not Carbo, and The Persian Boy by Mary Renaud. And then I was going to read Funeral Games, which is the 3rd book in that trilogy by Mary Renaud. But I think I might put that off. And I was going to read The Abyss by Orson Scott Card. I also think I'm going to put that off because I want to read wintry, holiday-y things. So after I finish these 3 books, I will put the Alexander trilogy on hold. And I'm definitely going to read Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which is very short, and possibly Bracebridge Hall, or The Keeping of Christmas at Bracebridge Hall by Washington Irving. And then something else, and I'm not completely decided yet, but it will probably be The Ragged Edge of Night by Olivia Hawker. that's it. I'm not gonna put too much on my plate for December because it's like the 5th and there's not that much time and I've been busy. So that is my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more content like this, I'm gonna keep on posting it, and you should hit that subscribe button so that you will not miss out on any of my future videos. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, I will be here in the dark reading. Bye guys.